This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Becoming the most valuable sports franchise in the world doesn't happen without risk. A man who's willing to bet it all, and the players ready to make their own luck. America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, is the story of the 1990s Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones's impact on NFL history. Featuring interviews with iconic 90s players and more. Watch America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, streaming now only on Netflix.
A massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, especially these days. 8 different settings, adjustable intensity, plus it's heated, and it just feels so good. Yes, a massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, but when it can come with a car, suddenly it seems quite practical. The all-new 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, packed with premium features like available massaging front seats, it only feels extravagant.
New season, new chaos in college football.
Let's go! Big stage, big opportunity.
This Labor Day weekend, the wildness lives on ABC, ESPN, and the all-new ESPN app.
What a way to start!
Featuring top 10 teams like Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, and LSU, and Bill Belichick's debut at North Carolina.
It's so special when these teams collide.
Don't miss a lineup filled with electric matchups.
Welcome back to college football.
Kickoff week presented by Modelo. Labor Day weekend on ESPN and ABC. Also available to stream on the all-new ESPN app.
Robertson, the first time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I've wanted to see Robertson do. And still Robertson, getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
Hello, welcome to the Tricky Talks podcast. As Forest crown a decent performance at Palace with a point, we're here to discuss that, Nuno, our new regular features return, and we look forward to West Ham this coming weekend. Here, as always, joined this week by Mollo and Kate. Mollo, happy birthday to you, I believe. It's your birthday today on your sunning yourself in Spain too.
Yeah, I shot off late at the right at the end of the weekend. Just in time, and took a few days in Spain before the West Ham game. All good, and thank you. 20-ish again, and all good, thank you.
And Kate, you spent some time recently in Scarborough watching Will Smith, I believe. How was that?
Oh, it was really good night, thanks. Yeah, Will Smith played Scarborough, unheard of, but he was really good. It was a really good show. I went with my sister-in-law. We had a great time, lots of singing along and dancing. So good vibes.
Excellent, good stuff. Chelsea can't be with us this week, unfortunately, but she has recorded an FPL segment, so we'll play that at half-time of the show. But we have to start, of course, with the Nuno news that blew up towards the end of last week. It came a little bit out of the blue, or did it, Mollo? We got a kind of an inkling something wasn't quite right last week. What were your initial thoughts when everything blew up at the back end of last week with Nuno's presser?
I just think it was a very fast-moving story. I was watching it unfold on Friday. One point, talking about not having a manager, weren't they? I think with hindsight and listening more carefully, it's been sensationalised quite a lot, and we just need to resolve it. Sit in a room, thrash out who does what to who, and whose job is what, and crack on with Nuno. Whatever comes out of it, it needs to be with Nuno and Marinakis. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, you were watching it live, weren't you, Kate, when the presser was on, being broadcast on Sky Sports, I believe. Or was it on Sky Sports or Forest TV? But
on TV.
Yeah, you were watching it live. What were you thinking as the story unfolded and it was become apparent Nuno was clearly unhappy?
I wasn't at all concerned before the press conference. You know, there'd been some things on social media suggesting that we might be sacking him, and I just completely dismissed them as absolute rubbish. And then as I was watching this press conference, I started to get increasingly concerned and thought, oh my goodness, something's about to kick off here and it's not good. again, having, a few days on and a bit more hindsight and having read a few more things, my overriding opinion, I think I mentioned this on Ben's show last night, is this is a classic case of the male ego in football. They all need to get in a room, talk it out. It doesn't matter who's in charge of who's more important than who. They just need to put the good of the club first, do their jobs and crack on, please.
Yeah, I very much likened it to the corporate world where I'm based in terms of my employment, where you get a new senior manager employed by the company that splits the line of communication between even higher senior management and perhaps more middle management, and I can understand that frustration when that line of communication is broken, because I've seen that. But you have to respect those lines of communication in terms of whatever the organisational structure is. And with Edu effectively maybe being Nuno's boss, given the fact he's head of global operations overseeing the football side, I just wonder if it was, when we're purely speculating, of course, did Edu interrupt that direct line of communication between Marinakis and Nuno that kind of put Nuno's nose out of joint a little bit? But you've got to respect that organisational structure. So that's the Nuno news then. So we'll wait and see how that one develops. Hopefully a good resolution will prevail and common sense will be seen by all. One other quick story to go through before we talk about the Crystal Palace game was rumours, Kate, that Ibrahim Sangare was the target for West Ham with a loan move with a view to a permanent deal. That one seems to have come out of the blue a little bit. What are your thoughts on that one?
It was spoken about further back in the transfer window, the possibility of him going. Then it seemed to come to nothing. He played a big part in pre-season. Obviously, he started the first 2 games, so we all thought it had gone away. I'm not devastated. I've never absolutely loved him. I've always hoped that he was going to come and show why we paid so much money for him. He has been doing a lot better. There's no denying that. But I don't feel like he's irreplaceable. I feel like we've already got someone that could potentially replace him. And if he goes and it's a loan with an option to buy, I think that's business, because we've got one of those for our new signings as well. So I can see why that makes sense. I think, just let's see what happens. I don't think it'll be starting for either of us on Sunday. Shall we say that?
Yeah, I think if there is a player that's vulnerable in that midfield, it is, in terms of losing his place, it is Sangare out of all of them, I think. And Mollo, we've got a ready-made replacement, as Kate said, in Douglas Luiz, who obviously will need time to be embedded in. But he's more, if we get the Villa version of Luiz, then he's more than an adequate replacement for Sangare, isn't he? Do you think he'll fulfil that role, or do you see Luiz playing a more advanced role?
I think Villa fans who watched him for a couple of years have been very clear that he's not really a natural number 6 at all. He has played there, he has stepped in there a couple of times, and the result wasn't brilliant. He's not defensively very astute, you say. However, he's a very, very good player, and it might change the way we play. It's a tricky one. I'm with Kate. Sangare's been with us for 2 full seasons, hasn't done a lot, but we've seen enough in the first game and parts of the second game that there's a really top-class number 6 inside of him. Or is it just Brentford were bad? We don't know. Too early. But if he goes, he goes. Players come and go. And he's certainly replaceable. I'd probably say we'd play differently. And Yatesy can do the job. And obviously when Dominguez is fit again. So we'll see.
Yeah, one to watch there for sure. Now, Sangare did play reasonably well for the Palace game. Let's move on to that now. Obviously, a hard-fought 1-1 draw sees the Reds remain undefeated this season. As per normal, hopefully we've each got a couple of key takeaways from the game. We'll start with you, Kate. What did you take from the game this week?
So I think the key takeaway is if you get a bit sloppy, then you're going to get found out and you're going to concede a goal. And the goal that we did concede had sort of remnants of season 1 in the Premier League about it. It was a series of mistakes. I think by the time Sarr took the shot, he wasn't marked. The ball was pinging around like a pinball machine in our box. The defence, who were normally so solid and so organised, just looked a little bit untidy. And then, yeah, we conceded a goal. So I think that is a definite takeaway. Stay on your game all the way through. And I suppose leading on to the positive element of that, there's been many times when I've watched Forest, and if you've gone 1-0 down, you're thinking, oh, is it worth leaving early to miss the traffic? We don't have that anymore. We know that they're going to battle. We know that there's every possibility that we're going to come back into the game, and we did. So there is your positive takeaway.
Good stuff. Mollo, what about you? A couple of key takeaways from the game?
Firstly, I think my key takeaway is the man we've been taking for granted now for 12 months, who was superb, Murillo. I've seen on the Finalysis app, he's our 6th best player of the season, apparently, but I'm not seeing that at all. So he's a key takeaway. We need that guy. We need him to stay. And the fact that there's not been any noise around him this summer has been fantastic. And my other key takeaway, similar to what other people have been saying, the fact that we can unload the bench on people now. Whatever our starting lineup as it stands, it's a fight to get on the bench even, and that bench makes a difference. I think a fully fit Hutchinson probably scores. Jesus' strike, absolutely superb, so unlucky. And what a pass from Murillo for that strike again. So they're my two takeaways. Murillo and the unloading of that bench is going to make teams think.
I'm pretty sure you've been reading my notes because my two key takeaways were very, very similar in terms of the first one being, I know we've only just signed a lot of our new players, but the strength of that bench, you can see, is kind of already paying dividends, isn't it? Because if it wasn't for the strength of that bench, we may not have got, it certainly gave us more of a chance in the second half to come away with 3 points. Whereas you make substitutions in the equivalent fixture last year, you've got the likes of Jota Silva and Roman Sosa coming on. This year, we've got the likes of McAtee and Hutchinson and Kali Mwendo, Jesus all came on, and it made such a difference. And you can already see the strength on that bench. If Forest, for whatever reason, need to chase a game, then replacing those forward players with a fresh set of forward players who are just as good is going to pay dividends, and it showed a lot in the Palace game, I thought. And the other one, just to echo your point, Mollo, what would we do without Murillo and Milenkovic? Because I thought they were rocks at the heart of that defence, as evidenced by the fact they kept Mateta really quiet all game, and in the end he got substituted and taken off, didn't really get a sniff all game. And you just think, with those two in the centre of defence, you've always got a chance of keeping a clean sheet, and therefore you've got a chance of winning. You take those two away, you're left with the likes of, with all due respect, Morato, Willy Bolly, Zach Abbott, Jer Cunha, who are not at that level just yet. So it's a scary thought if either of those two get injured or for a length of time or suspended. I think we know the team is going to be rotated. We can't expect them to play every game. But it's clear chances of winning are far greater with those two at the centre of defence, I think. What about things to improve on, Kate, though? We do like to offer a balanced view. What areas, having seen the game, what areas do you think there are room for improvement?
We need to play both halves. So I think we spoke a lot about an absolutely outstanding first half against Brentford, and then not quite so good in the second, although I do think we managed that game reasonably well. And then this game was a poor first half, coming back in the second. Just play both halves, guys. Play both halves, and we are absolutely winning. And I think that feeds into the conversation you guys have just had about the bench. Yes, when that team news came out, the thing that most people were messaging back and forth about was, oh my God, have you seen our bench? So there's absolutely no reason why we can't be playing a full game of football with a very, very strong up for it squad.
Yeah, what about you, Mollo? Anything you think needs to be improved, or were you pretty happy?
I think got to give Palace credit for their midfield performance. They got a decent midfield, and we took our time to get the upper hand over. The toing and throwing of the game was largely down to what was going on in midfield, wasn't it? Hughes, he's a terrific player at what he does, isn't he? You can't knock it. So ball retention and playing in the right places. It's an old criticism some people used to throw at Morgan, as we've said, but it reared its head a little bit, didn't it, on Sunday? It happens, but it cost us a goal. And the goal itself was, we lost it in midfield further up the pitch. Then Sangari got beat. He got beat twice, didn't he, for strength? And it's that thing, isn't it? 2 or 3 errors compounded to put them in a position where the defence were under the cosh, backing off. A very good ball in, a tidy finish game. They get the goal. So just ball retention. If we're looking for perfection, ball retention for me, in the right areas especially.
You talk about ball retention there. I thought Forest did retain the ball quite well in that first half without creating anything. And that was kind of my takeaway, is that it's all very well having that possession, but with no end product to show for it, you've got to create the chances and you've got to take the chances, and they didn't do that in the first half, and that was certainly an area that I would look to have improved upon in the second, and I think they just did that actually. To be fair, they were much improved in the second half and created a lot more, I thought, but it's almost like, I don't know if that's sustainable going forwards, that in terms of certainly away from home. I think they've got to be, whilst they were good at expressing themselves and they did maintain a lot of possession, they've got to start. You're not going to get many opportunities away from home to score, and I think they need to make sure that they start creating and taking those chances as well, which I didn't think they did in the first half, to be fair. So that was kind of my area of improvement. And obviously it is their first away game this season. I'd like to see next time they play away from home, and it's Arsenal, I believe, isn't it? The next away league game, how they approach that one, whether they're going to try and play that ball possession game against Arsenal, of all teams, who will be missing Saka, I believe, as well. So it'll be interesting to see their approach at that game. And that's another one where they're not going to get many chances to score, I don't think, given the fact Arsenal probably got the best defence in the league. Can they learn to take those chances? We'll see. We'll see on that one. Right, what are your... before we go on to the Man of the Match awards, we're going to do Mollo's moment again, aren't we? As we are going to do every week. So what is Mollo's moment? And don't say your birthday this week.
No, that's not a moment anymore. Well, again, plenty of choice. You could the big build up. There was an interesting moment where the absolute overkill of the coach being walked into the ground when there was nobody about apart from Forest fans was quite amusing. But I've got to go for the new signing. The moment when the ball came into him, he won the ball, he turned his man, and he put in an unbelievable pass, which we'll give him credit for. There is an argument that he was actually aiming not for Callum Hudson-Odoi, isn't there? But regardless, it turned into an absolute worldy moment. And if he was Cole Palmer, people would be raving about him. He scored one, and he's now put in a world-class assist. And games are about those moments, aren't they? I know we need a bit more from him going forward from time to time. We need this, we need that. I know, and he's new, and he's still adjusting. But I've watched Cole Palmer on TV sometimes do nothing, and he'll have one moment and he'll give him man of the match because he did that. That was a world-class moment. We've had 2 amazing passes in 2 games from 2 different players, haven't we? So for me, that was my moment of the day.
Yeah, good choice, actually. I mean, to be fair, he's now scored and assisted in 2 consecutive games to open his Forest career. And I don't know whether you guys saw the stat on social media that he's the first person to do that in a Forest shirt since Jeff Thomas back in the late 90s, I believe. Yeah. So incredible start for him. I wouldn't say he's played necessarily outstanding. Yeah, he's certainly contributed, and he's contributed in a big way. So big moment there for Dan Ndoye. Yeah. As it happens, Danny got his shirt today with Ndoye 14 on the back as well. So he certainly likes him. Talking of man of the match.
My son wants it.
Oh, does he?
My 11-year-old wants Ndoye on the back as well. So it just shows you those big moments in the highlight reels, even though he was at the game. helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Man of the Match awards. Kate, who are you going to go for this week? And we are, obviously, to remind everyone, we're going to keep a tally of all of these Man of the Match awards throughout the season. So who are you going for this week?
I'm going for Nico. So I thought Nico was brilliant. He was getting fouled, he was getting knocked about, he was getting roughed up, but he kept getting back up, he kept going for it, he kept his head. And yeah, I think that is exactly what you need in a gritty away game. So yeah, for me, Nico.
Okay, Mollo, who are you going for?
Yeah, he was very much in my thoughts. I can't disagree with what a terrific game he had. But for me, I went Murillo just because, literally, skin of his teeth in comparison. There's not much between them. I just thought that pass into Jesus in the last knockings of the game, on top of his all-round superb defensive display. I just thought, yeah, and he does. We're taking him for granted a little bit as a fan base, aren't we? I'm not seeing his name mentioned as man of the match. I'm seeing him as our currently 6th best average player, which I can't see. So, in terms of analysis, so I'm going to say, for me, Murillo.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Murillo as well. I thought it was close between him and Milenkovic, and I was on Door Show with Kate yesterday and echoed pretty much the same, that I thought he was outstanding, and the crowd recognised that as well. And like you say, that through ball to Jesus at the end nearly put the icing on the cake, I think. So Murillo certainly got my vote. I got a really funny story to tell you guys about Murillo, actually. So think back to the England game when they played at the City Ground. I know you were there, Mollo. Were you there, Kate, for that one?
Yes, yeah.
So apparently they struggled to sell the executive boxes in the Brian Clough stand. Apparently there weren't many of them sold for the game, so I understand it. And Murillo owns box number 18 in that stand. So every Forest game, his mum is there and his young family are there, and his mum likes a bit of a cigarette, so she has to step out every 10 minutes for a cigarette. And when players, if players are going to be turning up at one of these boxes, they need to let security know, purely for their own safety, in case an incident happens or they get mobbed or they get injured because they trip. So they have to let security know. And for the England game, Murillo turned up in his box and he hadn't let anybody know he was coming. And he made his way to his box. And the chap who runs the executive boxes, I won't say his name because he told me this story and I don't want to get him into trouble, but apparently he went into his box prior to the game, and I don't know if you recall, it was just after his wife had given birth to their new baby. So he went in and said, what? He radioed through to control and he said, did you know Murillo was here? And the control go, no, he hadn't reported. So this guy wandered in and said, why are you here? And Murillo just went like this, as if he wanted to sleep, because obviously having a newborn, he wasn't getting much sleep at home. So he turned up and a few minutes later he just left him to it. He looked in the box and there was Murillo during the game, fast asleep in his box on his own, not even watching the game. He was having a doze. So just a funny story about Murillo. Yeah,
absolutely outrageous. That is literally how much would a parent of a newborn pay for a nap?
Yes. Yeah, so I thought I'd share that with you guys.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
Hey, it's Paris. You know, I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Make your next vacation unforgettable. On Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Star of the Seas. It's everything you've loved about every family vacation you've ever been on, with mind-blowing thrills at the largest water park at sea, 7 onboard pools for every level of chill, more than 40 ways to dine and drink, and even more to enjoy at our award-winning private island, Perfect Day at Coco Cay. This is the new Star of the Seas. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
It wasn't a great game. I wasn't far off falling asleep either.
Just before,
Gibbs-White.
Just before we move on, I did want to talk briefly about the fact that Tricky Tux went viral after the game, didn't they? Which was how that happened, I don't know. So for those that don't know, I posted a video at the end of Nuno clapping and acknowledging the Forest fans with support from Morgan Gibbs-White, and we've had 2 million views on the X, formerly known as Twitter, and it's just baffled me why it's been so popular, because there was nothing, I didn't think anything unusual about that clip. I just thought I'd ask you guys, why do you think it's gone viral with 2 million views and nearly 3,000 likes? It's just baffling.
I'm going to say the great camera work by your son. That's the clue.
I think it was put out quite quickly after the game. And obviously it was a big talking point around Morgan Gibbs-White because of the banner and Nuno because of the press conference. I think those two things combined probably helped with it getting out there. And it's just a lovely clip, isn't it? It's really nice, really positive.
It was very positive, and and I wondered if a lot of it had to do with Morgan Gibbs-White showing that support for Nuno with him lifting his arms up. I mean, everybody at the game saw it who was still there. It wasn't a secret or anything, and I thought it was really good of him to show that players' viewpoint of what they think of Nuno. I thought it was tremendous. But yeah, I did do. Literally, I was on the train back to London Bridge and was editing the footage. I actually had to cut it down. It was a lot longer than that. So I only kept 25 seconds worth of the actual footage, but did put it out quite quickly. And for the rest of the weekend, my phone was just blowing up all the time. It's like almost had to mute my notifications. It got so crazy, but it was a bit of fun, wasn't it? We enjoyed seeing the views rocket, and I think it's kind of plateaued a little bit now to 2 million views. Go on, Mollo.
Can I make a request that minimum half of those 2 million people that viewed it could download the podcast? That'd be really helpful.
Yeah.
Cheers.
And we'll buy our own box to go for a nap in.
So it's just to show you capture a little bit of footage whilst you're at a game, and who knows what might happen with it. But yeah, I hadn't planned to video it. I did cross my mind whether he'd wave farewell. You know what I mean? After what happened previously, I wondered what his reaction at full time would be, whether it would be a farewell, and it certainly didn't come across like that at all, did it? It was just more of the same as what he tends to do, and more of an appreciation. And Nuno loves the fans, doesn't he?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So right, we do. Right, it's half time in the show. So Chelsea is going to provide us with an FPL update this week. So over to you, Chelsea.
Hello, everybody. Sorry I can't be there this week. I know you are all missing me terribly, especially Mollo. But I am bringing you a FPL update for game week 2. So I am going to start off with the top scorers of our league this week. So in third place, who has dropped 2, I believe, is Liam Boland with 128 points. And then in second place, we have, John, whoever that may be, I'm so sorry, I probably pronounced your name wrong, with 129 points. And then all the way at the top with 132 points, we have Mr. Daniel Eagle, who is my godchildren's father. And I'm very, very, very aware of how much he's gloating, of how well he's doing. But like I said, it's a very, very long season, so you never know. And then at the bottom, so in 46th place with 80 points, we have Wayne Stevens. Sorry, Wayne, that's not looking too good at the moment, but, keep going. And then second from bottom in 47th place, Harry Pearce with 47 points. And then all the way at the bottom is Gemma Baxter with 35 points. So let's look at how we're all doing. So I'm going to start with Kate. Kate, you are doing very well. In 6th place with 125 points, people. That deserves a round of applause because I really wished that I was in 6th place, to be honest, Kate. And then in Mollo, I'm going to say Mollo fell to 28th place this week with 105 points. Mollo. I don't know what happened to you this week, my friend, but it wasn't a good week for you. But that's all right. You can have a go at me and take the mickey out of me because I am in 33rd place with 97. Again, it was a rubbish game week for me. 2 game weeks on the chart and I already want to use my wild card, but I'm really trying not to. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there in the same boat as me. And then I'm not going to be able to say this very often, people, so I am going to make sure that I soak this up and say, Simon, you are in 42nd place with 85 points. Now, I am just going to be a bit smug there because I can guarantee you that this will be the one and the only time that he is below me or that I am, actually beating him at this point. But again, I know he was giving me a false sense of security, Simon. I know you are, because you're just going to come in with all your FPL wizardry that you do, and I'm just going to fall straight back behind you again. But never mind, I can gloat this week. So I'm just going to run through the 3 top scorers for the FPL this week. So in first place with a whopping 24 points is Timber, which I cannot believe, 24 points. If you had him in your FPL team, you've basically got half my points that I had for the whole week. So a bloomin' big round of applause to you. And then in joint second place, we've got João Pedro and Pickford, both with 15. So that wraps up the FPL update for this week.
Right, thanks for that, Chelsea. Much appreciated. We shall not talk about FPL any longer because my performance is quite poor at the moment and disastrous. So no more. Say no more on that one. Right. Again, one of our new segments is the Tricky Talks trivia question, Kate, and you've got one lined up for us all this week. So over to you.
I have. So here is your question. Put these Forest managers in chronological order from oldest to newest. Okay?
Oldest as in age or oldest as in
how
when
long
they were
ago
managers?
They managed us. So,
Okay.
So we have got Dougie Freedman, Alex McLeish, Philippe Montagnier, and Aitor Karanka.
Oh,
I will go through those again. So put these Forest managers in the order from oldest to newest that they managed us, which year they were our manager, and your managers are Dougie Freedman, Alex McLeish, Philippe Montagnier, and Aitor Karanka.
Right, we'll park that one there, Mollo. I think we're going to need a little bit of time to think about that one, and Kate, you'll give the answer at the end of the show.
Well,
tricky by name and tricky by nature.
I thought I'd make it a bit harder this week.
Yeah, hard one. Right, okay.
I like the fact you picked a bunch of managers from a period where we change managers every 5 minutes.
You noticed that, did you?
Right, on to the second half of the show, and we're going to focus a little bit on West Ham, who visit the City Ground in not the greatest of form, having suffered an embarrassing home defeat to Chelsea at the weekend, 5-1, I believe, and prior to that was a 3-0 defeat at newly promoted Sunderland. So they appear to be having a lot of problems and are on the ropes already. Obviously, I'm not sure what the state of their manager situation is in terms of Graham Potter. Is he on the hot seat or not? But they've not had a good start to the season. So, as per last week, myself and Mollo are going to look at why Forest will win. And in the absence of Chelsea, Kate, you're going to look at not why Forest won't win, but what could stop Forest from winning. So we'll start with you, Mollo. Why are Forest going to win this week?
I'm gonna say three things: momentum and form are both massively on our side. I did watch that Chelsea game and against West Ham, and if we approach it with the exact attitude we did Brentford, we should be able to run all over their midfield. Their midfield, Ward-Prowse is a nice player, but he's not got legs, has he? Their midfield was atrocious in every game I've watched. Defensively, not brilliant. Attacking wise, they got Jared Bowen. That's it. They obviously got the what's his name? Not Paqueta. The chap, the Brazilian number 10, can have his moments. To be fair, but we've got to get on top, play as we have been, dominate that midfield. I think Morgan's going to want to play like he did in the last home game because he wasn't at the same level generally as in that last game at Palace. Although he did put a lovely ball in the first half from Wood. I'll put on to about that. But I think because we'll run all over their midfield, that's how we can win this and should win it. But obviously, you never know. That's why we should win it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I've got the fact that West Ham already look destined for a really difficult season, even on the back of just 2 games. And given the fact that Forest, certainly that first home game, looked to be at the other end of the scale in terms of being really, really good at home, I don't think there is a comparison between the 2 teams, given the fact that Forest have got such a dangerous reputation for winning at home overall. You'd like to think Forest should, all things being equal, win that game. I don't think anybody would pick out a logical reason why West Ham would win that game, if I'm honest with you. There is nothing on from what we've seen this season that makes that where logically somebody would pick West Ham to win that game. So, but Kate, you're going to tell me why I'm wrong there. What is going to stop Forest winning this game?
Complacency, because of all the things that you guys have just said. So they are a well-established top-tier club. Yes, they're having a bad start to the season, but they've had bad runs before. And generally speaking, they've held their own. I don't think they're going to get relegated this season. I don't think it's going to be that bad. And also, Forest do have a tendency to drop a level when they play an inferior side. So what I'm saying is we need to bring our A game, not be complacent, not expect to win just because they've had a couple of bad games to start their season. If we don't do that, then we are vulnerable.
Okay, what about players to watch? Mollo, you mentioned James Ward-Prowse not having the legs. He's actually the player, excuse me, I've got to watch in the fact, not because of his legs, but because of his ball ability in terms of being able to take corners and set pieces and free kicks. And we know historically there are times where Forest struggle against those kind of players who are really good set piece takers. And I think if you can keep James Ward-Prowse quiet or keep those opportunities for delivering set pieces to a minimum, then obviously that mitigates that risk that he can pose. So he's certainly someone to keep an eye on in terms of being a threat to Forest and stopping them winning. What about you guys? What about you, Mollo? Who is your West Ham player to watch?
I'm going to be very obvious, I'm afraid, and pick their star man, Jared Bowen. He scored, even when we beat them at their place last season, he scored an absolute banger, didn't he? The touch and volley with top draw. He was the shining light, along with some very good set piece deliveries, you rightly point out, against Chelsea. He was the shining light against Chelsea in the terms that he was able to beat his man a few times and put balls in. He's a very, very good player. He's weirdly happy at West Ham. I'm surprised he hasn't had people suitors this summer because he's a game changer. So he's the one to watch. And then if we can stop him, we've got a very good chat. Well, assuming we stop him, they're going to struggle to score, which they're going to come to us with a game plan to keep a clean sheet, aren't they? That's going to be it, really. But he is the man to watch.
Who's the man to watch from your perspective, Kate?
Yeah, I've got the same. I've got Jared Bowen. When you think West Ham, you think Jared Bowen. He had a good season, a good solid season last season, and I think that he will shoot. You know, we have to mark him. We have to keep him under control. And if we do that, we are in with a really good shout. But again, no sloppy errors, please. Stay on your game. Stay on your man.
Game's live on Sky Sports, isn't it, this week, this Sunday? Is it 2 p.m. kickoff again? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Typical, isn't it? I'll be flying in Sunday morning. I hope there's no delays.
Okay, score predictions then. We'll start with you this time, Kate. What is your score prediction for this weekend?
For the third week in a row, I am going to back Sels to get a clean sheet. If I keep doing it, maybe he'll get one. I'm going 2-0 to Forest. One of the newbies to score.
Yeah, I've gone 2-0 as well, and finally keeping a clean sheet. I think even if it's just to help my fantasy team with Milenkovic in it, 2-0 for sure. Don't mind who scores at the minute. What about you, Mollo? You going for a hat-trick of wins?
So many emotions that I was going to say 2-0, but just to be different, I'm going to say 1-0 with us typically hanging on at the end and a couple of those dodgy war price corners making us worry. So hopefully I'm wrong and it's 3 or 4-0. But any kind of a win to put us on 7 points takes us into the next international break in very, very healthy position, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's key to go undefeated with a bit of momentum, especially with Arsenal being the fixture after that as well. So we'll wait and see on that one. Right, so that's West Ham then. Coming this Sunday, Kate, back over to you with the quiz. Remind us again of the 4 options for managers and maybe we'll have a go.
Okay. Dougie Freedman, Alex McLeish, Philip Montagnier and Aitor Karanka.
Okay, I'm going to go total shot in the dark. I'm going to go Philip Montagnier, Dougie Freedman, Alex McLeish, Aitor Karanka, in that order.
Right. Ooh. I'm going to go. Hang on. There's 2. I'm going to go the other way. So, most recent. Hang on, I've forgotten one now. So, there's McLeish, Montagnier, Freedman. Who's the 4th one? Karanka. I'm going to go Karanka most recent. Then I'm going to go Montagnier, second most recent. It's those other 2 that I'm going to go. Because I remember when McLeish. I'm going to go McLeish as the oldest one, furthest to go, because that was definitely Fawaz. And then Dougie, because I'm pretty sure Dougie. No, just Dougie Fawaz.
Ooh, no pressure.
Dougie Fawaz.
I'm trying to think. No, because Dougie did it with no money and no signings and not. Yeah, I'm going that. So McLeish, Dougie, Montagnier, Karanka.
Go on, Kate. Put us out of our misery.
Outstanding, Mollo. Well done. Oh, my goodness. I didn't think you were going to get that. So we've got Alex McLeish, December 2012 to February 2013. Dougie Freedman, February 2015 to March 2016. Philip Montagnier, June 2016 to January 2017. And then Aitor Karanka is January 2018 to January 2019. Well done.
Excellent stuff. Let us know, guys, if you...
The only reason I remember Karanka is because he was obviously, Karanka was under the big man in particular. But the others were a little bit... I was trying to think where I was living at the time, if that doesn't sound so daft.
Yeah, good question, Kate. We'll look forward to an easier one next week, please.
Well, obviously, we're going to give Chelsea the point because she would totally have got that if she was here. So, a point for Chelsea and a point for Mollo.
Yeah, okay. Fine. Excellent. Hope you at home played along as well. We'll more next week from Kate.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, It's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You set the table, put on a playlist, even made the lasagna from scratch. And now you're wearing it. OxyClean Max Force Spray tackles tough, set-in stains the first time. Adulting is hard. Fighting stains shouldn't be. OxyClean Max Force. It's not clean unless it's OxyClean.
Today's top story, the flavor merger of the century between the Peanut Butter Group and Chocolatey Corp. Joining me is a PBC executive.
Thanks for having me, Barry.
Now, how did you know the merger and the byproduct of it, Jif peanut butter and chocolate flavored spread, would be a success?
You know, it was a gut feeling, a rumbling, if you will. Besides, they're two titans of taste.
Very true. Goes great with pretzels.
And pancakes.
Apples too, I bet. Try Jif PBC today.
Just one thing from me as well, in that Tricky Talks are delighted to participate in the podcast prediction league run by Danscape over on X. We missed week 1, unfortunately, so we're rooted to the bottom of the league with 0 points. But I know we play as a team, and I think 2 of us predicted a Forest win, 1 person predicted a draw, and 1 person predicted a defeat. So whoever got the draw this week gained us some points in the Forest Podcast Prediction League. So you've got all your well-known Forest podcasts taking part in that season-long competition. So hopefully you guys can root for the Tricky Talks podcast. We'll see how we do. We're approaching the end of a frantic and hectic show. Unbeknown to the listeners, we had 1 or 2 technical problems to start off with, which thankfully we've managed to overcome. But anything else either of you want to bring up? Kate, start with you.
No, I've got nothing this week. Just, I suppose, looking forward to West Ham, looking forward to going and watching a game of football that hopefully is not going to be surrounded by controversy, that is just going to be a really good game and a positive result for Forest.
Mollo, anything from you?
Nothing major, only to say if people are missing their fix, get down the City Ground in the international break to see the ladies play against Newcastle, I think, isn't it?
Yes, I've got my tickets for Newcastle. I shall be there.
Well, if you are there, Kate, I hope you're not going to sit in row 1 of the Peter Taylor stand, because I sat there today as it happened, and you can barely see anything. So it's almost like, well, I know you might like it if you want to see a close-up of Ola Aina's shorts, but it's not a good view from that seat at all. So I would never tell anyone not to go to Forest. So if you do end up sat in those seats, fine, but I wouldn't choose those as a preference at all. So that's just my viewpoint. They are almost below ground level, aren't they, Kay? I know you sit there, don't you, or near there in terms of your season tickets.
Yeah, I used to be 2nd row, now I'm 5th. But yeah, when I saw them, I thought, no, I'll stay where I am.
And yet, still a better view than most of the seats in the Palace away end.
But Mollo, Kate, thanks for joining us today. Much appreciated. Mollo, I hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday too, and you can go away and have a few beers on your birthday now. Thanks for joining the recording today, both of you. Listeners, thanks again for listening. And as always, if you could leave us a 5-star rating and review, that would be pretty good, and we'd thank you for that. In the meantime, we'll be back next week with a review of West Ham, plus some more stuff like the quiz and the FPL update. So from us, we bid you a farewell and speak to you soon.
Podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Comprar un arma para alguien a quien no se le permite hacerlo. Eso es un crimen. Podría costarle hasta 15 años de cárcel y una multa de $250,000. Si alguien le pide que le mienta a un distribuidor de armas de fuego con licencia federal para poder comprarle un arma, no lo haga. ¿Tienes un consejo? Llame 1-888-ATF-TIPS. Eso es 1-888-283-8477. Presentado por la Fundación Nacional de Deportes de Tiro y la ATF.